Judge, thanks for joining us. I mean, let's just get started because we're pressed for time. The president, during his inaugural presidential media chat, dismissed any possibility of reversing the removal of fuel subsidies. Your thoughts? Let's begin there.
Okay, good evening and thanks for having me. We saw a president that was defiant, that was not guided and guarded in his remarks, and was literally speaking to Nigerians as though he was talking to his laborers, his employees. We are the employer. And he did not speak with us with decorum. He did not speak with Nigerians with respect and empathy that is required of a leader. He did not speak with Nigerians with temperate and kind words that are soothing to the feelings of what Nigerians are going through. The entire media chat was embroiled in comments, speeches, innuendos, and grandstanding. He was just literally speaking as though he has achieved so much. He has done so much. And in his words, he said it's like a pregnant woman that is heavy and she's approaching the point of a hard push. And the way he emphasized that very, very hard push simply means that we should brace up. He even used the word brace.
We seem to be having issues with George's connection there. We'll try to fix that. Let's go on a short break. When we come back, we'll continue with this discussion. Don't go anywhere. Now, earlier we were having a discussion about the inaugural presidential media speech chat, I beg your pardon, by President Bola Tinubu. And to give more reaction to this, we're joined earlier by oil and gas analyst George Brown, who joins us again. George, thank you so much for joining us back on. Your earlier thoughts regarding, the president's inaugural presidential media chat and him dismissing any possibility of reversing the removal of fuel subsidy.
Okay, like I said initially, the removal of the subsidy is a welcome development. However, we've overflogged this issue of putting the right things in place before embarking on that exercise because of the multiplier effects that it will come with. Of yesterday by the president clearly shows that the president lacks empathy, the president lacks tact, the president lacks diplomacy in speaking to Nigerians, in talking to Nigerians. The president was talking to Nigerians as though he was talking to his workers, not staff. Because if you have staff, if you have people that are properly employed, you will talk to them with empathy and respect. The president was disrespectful to Nigerians in his body language and his choice of words. He even blamed the organizers of those palliative giveaways that resulted in deaths. He blamed them. It's his regime. Isn't it under his watch and his administration that was responsible, or that is responsible for the hardships that Nigerians are facing? And public-spirited individuals have decided to come together to say, okay, let's provide some succor for citizens. And unfortunately, these things happen. It is because of his high-handedness, his lack of methodology and strategy in implementing his decisions. He calls them reforms. These are not just reforms. These are hardships. He is putting a heavy burden and a heavy task, like a taskmaster, on Nigerians. Now, imagine a president saying that I will not remove the subsidy and I have no regrets whatsoever. Yes, the subsidy ought to be removed, but it should have been removed in a phased manner. It should have been phased, because once energy prices are high, then it affects everything along the value chain. Everything along the value chain. Let the president that was talking about an energy mix comprising electric vehicles and CNG, let him start by embarking on that same word he used, management, by embarking on a management practice of turning the entire vehicles in the villa, including his own private presidential motorcade. They should all be running on CNG. Let him lead by example and let Nigerians follow suit.
Now,
but he is not leading by example. He's talking as though he was still on the campaign trail, talking about what he has done and what he has achieved. For crying out loud, what has he achieved? He was talking about a 98% debt servicing that has reduced to 68, and he was talking about, I have done, I have done, I have done. Mr. Tinubu, you cannot do it.
George.
He cannot do it.
Right, George, let me just cut you there because I want to stay on course and just talk about some of the things that he also made mention of. And one of them was the tax reform bills. The president, he reiterated his commitment to that bill, saying that there would be no reversal despite, opposition, particularly from the north. Let's have your take on that as well.
Okay, to be fair to him, he said that the tax reform bill is because we have colonial tax framework for a modern day Nigeria. That's a fact for a given. However, he also mentioned, to be fair to him, that there will continue to be engagement and conversations and stakeholder interface to gain consensus in order for the tax bill to go through and become a tax act. However, he also mentioned that he is not going to back down. The president is a very heady man. I wish our president was younger. I wish he was younger. Or maybe if he was younger, he could have been more draconian. Because at this frail age of his, he is still this heady, then I wonder what he would have become if he was younger. But all the same, the president, and my takeaway from the media chat was a president that came out to tell Nigerians that he has done so much, and Nigerians should applaud him for all that he has done. And Nigerians should be grateful for what he has done. He's done Nigerians a lot of favor. So Nigerians should accept what he's doing. Nigerians should take it. And Nigerians should even brace up for very, very severe push. That's the way he put it. A very, very severe push at the point of a woman, a pregnant woman birthing a child. It means that it's not going to be easy for Nigerians, even going into the new year 2025.
And let's also, as we're talking about this, right, let's also take a look at, the changes in the fuel subsidy and tax regime and the influence in terms of investment decisions for international companies in Nigeria. We saw him take a number of flights this year when it comes to attracting investment. I also know there was a particular figure that they kept running with at the time. With all of these moves, how would it influence investment decisions for Nigeria, especially in the energy sector, come 2025?
Okay, let's look at the energy sector where we operate, right? SNEPCO, which is Shell Nigeria Exploration, wanted to embark on an expansion of their existing Bonga field, right? And they intend to invest about $5 billion in expanding that acreage. Of course, it will increase Nigeria's oil production, daily oil output. It will increase it, yes, and that will mean more revenues for Nigeria. But of course, Nigeria will still sell her produce from oil based on the quota allocated to OPEC member countries. And of course, the cost or the price of the product, the commodity in the international market. It's not like Nigeria is selling her oil based on spot market basis. It's based on what the OPEC cartel fixes as the price that Nigeria sells. However, those investments that are coming from Shell and SNEPCO and Total Energies, what percentage of those investments in terms of FDI are going to be domesticated? These are questions that should be asked. If Shell is putting down a $5 billion, what percentage of that $5 billion is going to be domiciled in Nigeria based on the Nigerian Content Development Board's procedures and requirements for investments and expansion or kickstarting of operations in Nigerian oil and gas ecosystem as it is? What is the percentage of that sum that will be domiciled here? That is what Nigeria or his government should consider to be FDI, not just in numbers, not just in figures, not just by banding just the numbers. What percentage of that $5 billion will be domesticated here? The oil and gas, it's not a workforce, high workforce generating business as it is. It is largely process and technology driven. So it's not a huge employer of labor. The oil and gas is not a huge employer of labor. And the most of those products that will come from these new expansions by Total Energies and SNEPCO are going to be exported because they already have existing contracts with their various clients scattered all around the world. So whatever they are producing, a large percentage of it will go in servicing the existing contracts that they have, and where they also raised funds to embark on their expansion. So it's a small percentage of it that will be retained for our own domestic crude consumption, which will go to the refineries, of course.
Right.
It's just a portion of it, not a large.
Right.
Not
Right.
half of it.
George, I must say thank you because we're pressed for time. Many thanks for coming on and just having this discussion with us. We appreciate you for doing this. George Brown is an oil and gas analyst, just giving us a bit more insight regarding the energy sector and following the presidential media chat with President Bola Tinubu.